this is Warhawk Beyond 2040, and welcome to another edition of the Jazz Albums Review Series. And today I am going to be taking a look at a collaboration album that came out in 2000 on Wombat Records from two completely different guitarists who both come from two completely different worlds. And on paper, this would be considered to be a bit of a mismatch, but when these two forces come together, it actually works for the most part very well, and their styles match up really, really nicely. And it's a great showcase of two of the best guitar players in the world, and both very highly respected in their respective fields. And for me, these two gentlemen need no introduction whatsoever. I am talking about, of course, the one and only Frank Gambale and Maurizio Colonna, and this is their guitar duo album, Imagery Suite. So, Imagery Suite is a guitar duo album from Frank Gambale and Maurizio Colonna, and they are both from two completely different worlds. Frank Gambale comes from the more jazz fusion world, and Maurizio Colonna comes from the classical world. And this album is a great showcase for Frank Gambale in particular because we get to see a different side to his guitar playing. And this is a really lovely album and totally unexpected, but it works really well. There's some great playing from both guys, and this is highly recommended for all guitar fans out there. I think this is a fantastic album, and it's a real meeting of two completely different worlds. So in a way, it's kind of like jazz fusion meets classical, but it's a very laid back album. I think this is absolutely brilliant. And this album in particular is not very well known. Lots of people don't really know about this album, but if you're a fan of Frank Gambale, you probably have heard of this album before. But it's very rare you see Frank Gambale team up with another guitarist in this sort of manner. Obviously, he has teamed up and played with other guitarists like Alan Holdsworth, Brett Garsted, and Sean Lane, but they were more in the shredding jazz fusion style of playing. Here we see Frank Gambale enter into uncharted territory. We see Frank Gambale playing a lot more acoustic. Obviously, there are some tracks where he does play electric guitar, but it's not really the type of style of electric guitar playing that you're used to hearing from Frank Gambale. It's a lot more reserved, it's a lot more laid back, and these two work really well together. Maurizio Colonna is one of the top classical guitarists in the world, and he just works very well with a jazz fusion guitarist. And it's very rare you see him cross paths with a jazz fusion guitar player. But as I said, this pairing works very well. And this was the only album that these two recorded together, and it's very impressive. So most of the compositions are written and composed by Frank Gambale and Maurizio Colonna, with the exception of two tracks which are composed by Frank Gambale, and the last two tracks are composed by Maurizio Colonna. Now, Imagery Suite is made up of 8 parts, and they're quite relatively short pieces. They're all clocking in at 4 to 5 minutes to 3 minutes. And the two Frank Gambale compositions, they're quite short, they're like 2 minutes each. And Maurizio Colonna, they're two classical pieces which are like 2 to 3 minutes long. But as I said, it's a lovely album. I wouldn't necessarily say this is a jazz album, this is kind of more like a classical album. And as I said, it's a real nice treat to hear a different side to Frank Gambale's guitar playing, as this is normally a world he doesn't really venture into that much, but it shows once again how versatile Frank Gambale is. He's always willing to try new things and take risks, and it really pays off very well. So, First track of the Imagery Suite is El Parado. Then we got Villa Borghese. Then we got Maracana, Pacific, Palisades, Beechwood Breeze, Camoria, Fortaleza, and LAX. Absolutely gorgeous piece of music. All 8 pieces that make up the suite, just absolutely lovely. And then we got the 2 Frank Gambale compositions, Shaker Tower, the long and short of it. Classic Frank Gambale. He's a great composer. A lot of people seem to not really take much notice of that. People always think of Frank Gambale as a great guitar player, which he is. He's one of the greatest guitar players in the world, but he's a great composer as well. And I kind of feel that at times his composing skills get overlooked in favour of his guitar playing. He can write a tune, he really can. And we got the 2 Maurizio Colonna compositions. We got Aria Mediterranea #5, and then Incantation. All lovely tracks, start to finish. This is a great laid back guitar album and highly recommended for all guitar fans. It's so good and so nice. So the standout tracks for me are Shaker Tower, the long and short of it, and Incantation and Aria Mediterranea #5. But the Imagery Suite is just fantastic. It's really good from top to bottom. I do like El Parado and Beechwood Breeze and Fortaleza and LAX and Maracana. They're really good songs. And as I said, it's a beautiful album from start to finish. And as I said, highly recommended to all guitar fans. So there you have it. Frank Gambale and Maurizio Colonna Imagery Suite. Not an easy album to find, but if you can find it, highly recommend you check it out. You're in for something really special. And if you're a fan of Frank Gambale, this is definitely one I think you should check out. So there you have it, Imagery Suite. Excellent stuff. So that's going to be it from me. I'm going to wrap this up now. What's your favourite track from Imagery Suite? Is it the title track? Or do you like Shaker Tower, the long and short of it, or Aria Mediterranea #5, or Incantation? Which of the following tracks from the Imagery Suite do you like? Is it El Parado, Villa Bonquise, Maracana, Pacific Palisades, Beechwood Breeze, Camoria, Fortaleza, or LAX? There's no right or wrong answer. We all have our favourite tracks. You know what to do, guys. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, leave your thoughts and comments down below. And I will see all of you next time for another edition of the Jazz Albums Review Series. So until then, take care, everybody, and stay safe. And once again, as always, much appreciated. Thanks for listening.